fantastic. I mean, Mark Hughes' goal was superb, wasn't it? I mean, to get the power when the ball was up there, most 90% of players would wait for it to drop a little bit, and then it'd be too late. I mean, superb goal. And I think you've got to fancy them. Now they're the form team, they're playing at home, and I wouldn't like to be the Scots players who've got to visit there in September.
No, you won't make any predictions about that one yet. Anyway, we'll talk about the England performance in the first half in a moment, but for those of you who may have just got in, let's have a look at the highlights of that first half.
Barnes took it. Robson! Oh, he's hit the post. So close for England and their captain, Brian Robson. A well-worked free kick and his header came back off the frame of the goal. Barnes curled it in. Robson beat his marker. He beat the goalkeeper and it hit the upright. First blood to England, but here's Coras to Camataru. And the referee, having given a free kick at one end, now evens it up at the other. Now Hagi is the free kick maestro, but whether that's too far out for him to try with his left foot, we shall have to wait and see. He did try, and Shilton, who's been made very aware of Hagi, indeed they rehearsed defending at these free kicks, England, in that very goal only yesterday. Shilton read that brilliantly. Coras coming in, back to Necrila. Good drive by the right back, Necrila. Peter Shilton, though, saw it coming all the way. And Klein. Brian Robson jabbed it past the post. Here's Trevor Stephen. Robson's in the centre. And Mark Hateley too, of course, when fit, but ruled out of this one. Anderson. And here's Mariner. And it ran on for Robson. And got a deflection off Boloni for a corner. Boloni, Ungureanu, Coras. Shot was blocked by Butcher, but he still played it on again for Camataru to shoot. And he'll probably be disappointed with his finish. Camataru, the centre forward, who had a hand in the attack much earlier, was on hand to join it at the end. And as the ball came out, the angle certainly wasn't brilliant. And Shilton would have had his angles right, one assumes. It went the wrong side of the post for Romania.
Well, watching with great interest in our Belfast studio, Martin O'Neill. Did England have you worried in that first half, Martin?
Not really, Jim. I thought England looked reasonably competent at the back, and considering that Romania are just beginning to get into the game now, it can't be bad considering England are playing away from home.
Yeah, lots of niggling little fouls in it to put them off their stride at the start of the game.
I think that we'd probably be expecting that anyway. And I honestly think they'll be satisfied, as we are over here at the moment in time.
Yeah.
But with an England win being a bonus for us, perhaps the draw is not so bad a result.
No, but really you're looking for England to win this match, aren't
we've
you?
got to. We would want every result going our way.
Yeah.
We could do with one of those Ian Rush's goals there, just about 2 minutes to go.
Yeah, but he's a Welshman, you must remember. Well, at the moment...
we can get his nationality changed, I think.
I must say the England strikers are looking not quite like Ian Rush so far.
Not at the moment, but considering they are playing away from home, and as you said yourself, the Romanians are a wee bit tough, especially in their own pitch. So, but everything going well for England at this minute in time.
Yeah. So in a funny kind of way, Northern Ireland's interest and England's interest are not the same. I mean, a victory for England would be a 0-0 draw, but not for you.
That's right. Yeah. And I would just be worried maybe in the last 15 or 20 minutes if England decide to close up shop, and we'll be rushing them forward, I think, to try and get the odd goal or two.
Well, we'll go to an Englishman here, Trevor Brooking. Are you happy with England's performance all round in the first half?
Yeah, I think they've played it patiently, as we've just said, really. A 0-0 would be a good result for England. And I think from Romania's point of view, they're playing a bit cat and mouse. I mean, it's a game that they'd like to win, but there's still a long way to go. I think it's only their third game, and so they wouldn't like to lose that, as unfortunately Northern Ireland did, because having seen them, England, get a result there, 0-0 might not even be a bad result for Romania, and that's why Martin would like to see England get a goal. So it's a bit of cat and mouse. I think at the moment Romania got a lot of possession football in the midfield without really looking as if they're going to penetrate through the middle.
Just ask you a question about the leagues in which we qualify, and also when you get to the World Cup finals, they're in leagues. Do you think that brings about less interesting football because of what you've just said?
I think I mean, you look at it, for instance, the last World Cup '82, our particular game against West Germany in the second group, where a draw, a 0-0, was satisfactory for both, because then you knew, well, we're still in with a chance for the next game. And then you had the West Germany Austrian game that caused a big uproar when nobody was allowed to shoot because the result would have been affected. And I think you can have where perhaps a knockout situation would be more entertaining for the viewers back home.
Less matches, of course, and less money, I suppose, but more entertaining. Have you looked at it that way, Martin?
It's a long way to go to Mexico for one match, Jim.
Yeah. Well, that is the real underlying reason behind it.
I think that's exactly right. And we played 3 games in Spain, and at that particular time, anything after that we'd have been grateful for. As it turns out, we ended up with 5 games, 2 away from the final.
And you had and enjoyed all that excitement. But you must say it does create the sort of matches that we occasionally see, which are tactical, where teams are happy with a draw and not to win them.
I think the Austria-Germany game during the World Cup proved that point.
Yeah. And after all, the game of football was designed, Trevor, I think, you know, for one side to try and win and the other side to try and
I think it might be an idea to play the first series in the league tables. As Martin said, it gives the opportunity for everyone to have a series of 3 games. But after that, let's get down to the business of sorting the men out from the boys.
Yeah. Well, England, on that basis, should be content with their draw, but are you really happy with the way that they played? I mean, the team that is out there, the amount of football that they produced, even against difficult circumstances, I understand.
I think we've looked fairly confident at the back, apart from the odd marking at the corner was a bit bad once, wasn't it? But I think at the moment, apart from set pieces, we don't look as if we're going to score ourselves. I think perhaps in midfield we're content to hold rather than push that extra man forward that might be the difference to creating an opening. Certainly Brian Robson's had the one header, and I think in the air they have looked a bit suspect just at the corner towards the near post there where the lads got injured.
Perhaps be our best chance of scoring.
I think set pieces at the moment are the best thing.
Well, one country has no problem in scoring goals is West Germany. And so far in the World Cup qualifiers, only Hungary and Uruguay are definitely through to the finals to join holders Italy and the host Mexico. But last night, West Germany took another big step towards qualifying by beating neighbours Czechoslovakia in Prague to maintain an outstanding record. The West Germans, believe it or not, have never lost a World Cup qualifying match. Bob Wilson reports.
A sellout crowd of 35,000 in Prague saw West Germany take the lead after just 10 minutes. Litbarski's free kick headed home by Thomas Berthold. After 4 straight wins in their qualifying group, it was just the start the Germans had hoped for, and it gave them the confidence to go at the Czech defence at every opportunity. Number 2 followed 12 minutes later, and it was probably the pick of the bunch, little Pierre Litbarski unleashing the thunderbolt. The Cologne star looks to be back to his very best, and the goal was a perfect example of opportunism and the perfect strike. 2-0 to West Germany, and in the 37th minute it was 3. This time it's Berthold who sets it up, beating the Czech defender and finding an alert Mateus at the far post. Really, it runs Litbarski's goal close as the best of the game, with the final volley oh so sweet. 2 minutes before half-time, West Germany made it 4-0, and the skills this time from the free kick belonged to Herget. So Czechoslovakia 0, West Germany 4 at half-time, and the massacre continued in the 78th minute. Rudi Voller takes on his man, makes space, and when his shot squirms away from Borovica, Klaus Allofs nips in. Previous to the goal, Voller had actually hit the woodwork 3 times, but I'm sure he'd be happy enough to see Allofs benefit from his skill. 5-0 to West Germany, but 4 minutes from the end, a consolation goal for the unhappy Czechs. Kukuka's drive being turned in by Stanislav Griga. The man who made the opening was number 9 Vízek, but the credit really should go to the goal scorer Griga for reading the cross shots so well. The final score, Czechoslovakia 1, West Germany 5. The Germans well on their way to Mexico, having won all 5 games so far in Group 2, which puts them 4 points clear of Portugal.
Well, what West Germany can do, can England do better? We shall find out now as we go back to Bucharest and join John Motson.
And you get a glimpse there of some England supporters who seem fairly happy with the way things are going. And the news from the dressing rooms is there are no changes at half-time. And I'm not sure we can produce a 5-1 display like the West Germans did here, but certainly England will be happy enough, as Trevor Brooking and Jimmy Hill were saying, to be playing as they did in the first half. And it's the second half starting with England playing from the right. Hagi looks for Rednic. Quite interesting to hear that discussion back in the studio about the World Cup and Jimmy's views on the knockout principle. FIFA are in fact going to bring the knockout stage further forward in the finals in Mexico next summer. So after an initial group period, we shall be into knockout matches much sooner, and that I think is the point he was making. It does give a sudden death excitement to it. Here's Mariner. But while we're playing in leagues like this, nobody wants to lose. Boloni. Wilkins. Francis. Tripped by Ungureanu. Here's Francis. It's Trevor Stephen on the right. Four waiting in the centre if he could get a cross in. Or Wright will. That was Camataru up with Barnes. Wilkins picking it up from Sansom and returning it. Wilkins again, and Sansom continues his run. Mariner and Francis up with the goalkeeper, who's got the height to deal with that. Klein. Ungureanu. Camataru. Robson. Hagi. And rolled back by Anderson. The task here for England reminds me of the ones they faced in Greece and Hungary in competitive matches away from home under Bobby Robson, and indeed in Belfast for that matter, to make sure first that they don't concede, and that they've managed to do in all those games. Hagi again for Romania. He's going to try and do something about that. He's got three in support here, but Anderson's tackle was short. Mariner's flick to Francis. It was Jovan who came in behind him. England substitutes today, incidentally, in case you're wondering: Gary Bailey, Terry Fenwick, Glenn Hoddle, Gary Lineker and Chris Waddle. Those are the five on the bench, any two of whom can be used. And here's a sub for Romania already on. Jovan came on at centre-back in the first half for the injured Iorgulescu. Klein on the chase and Mark Wright across. Hagi's coming up in support here. Hagi's cross. Camataru was up a bit early and couldn't reach it. Klein. This is Boloni looking for Camataru. The stadium's not full for this qualifier, by the way. It costs only £4 for the best seats, but the Romanians turned out in greater numbers for a double-barreled league fixture 2 weeks ago. A double header, 4 of their top teams playing here in successive games, and allegedly 110,000 somehow found their way in. About 70 or just under today, I would think. Hagi is fouled. And the early ball for Camataru, who is onside, and Coras in the middle. And it's another clearance from Klein. Camataru made the break and nearly made England pay. 5 minutes gone in the second half, and Romania sensed they could be onto something. Corner. Klein takes. Coras up. Klein again. Ungureanu. All the way back to Stefanescu as England reshape now. Necrila. Camataru looking threatening in this phase of the game. He's up against Butcher. And he's got himself a free kick, Camataru. Hagi. Volleyed away by Sansom. On by Hagi. For anybody who's just come in, the score here is 0-0. Pretty even first half, with Brian Robson hitting the post for England and 1 or 2 scares at the other end. And Romania have begun the